Can Target hit the bullseye? I'm Jill Malandrino with the Street's Options Profits.
And I'm Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com.
So this big, giant retailer has been caught in range-bound neutral activity. From the fundamental perspective, there's some concern over its margins, that they're not producing the high-quality prints on this. They've moved more into the food business, and when traffic is driven that way, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to capture that high-margin activity.
That's interesting to hear, because I was wondering, just from a technical standpoint, why has Walmart had such a good year? Why is it Home Depot on the move? And every time I'm like, oh, let me look at Target, I'm like, the stock's not going with the pack, so it's either just digesting or there's something really wrong. So I guess this whole strategy to go into the food business, low margin, might not be the right play for them to go.
Also, they're expected to spin off their credit card business, which typically is a good thing. Anytime you see asset sales to kind of, either create more capital or get the balance sheet more in check, that's a good thing. But what they're anticipated to do is invest it in more Canadian business, which is an unproven strategy at this point. And that has a lot of the fundamental analysts concerned on the name. We also saw some options activity yesterday. It was one of the top 10 unusual volume names where we saw new initiations in bearish put spread. So, maybe these option strategists are seeing something farther out into April. So how would you play this near term, and what do you see more, longer term moving out?
Well, I'll show you on the charts, because that's what I look at. And if you look at Target here, you will see that not really a pretty chart. We tried to get going a few times and couldn't, had a move, came down really hard, gapped up, sold. But it keeps holding this 51 area. So I see two little patterns here that I'll be watching to potentially trade it going into the new year. One is this small descending channel, which has tried to get over the last 2 days. It hasn't. If it starts getting above 52.50 with some volume, maybe it'll come back up and try and retest the 54 to 56 area. But if it breaks this support first, you are going to see some of those bearish puts, get paid, because, below this you have the moving average of 50.57, and then there's really nothing all the way down to about 48. So watch, this 51 on the support, and then if it could start igniting above 52.25, it could see some upside.
What's great about trading a neutral name? Everyone's like, it's boring. There's no buy, there's no sell on it. But this is why there's a market. There's buyers and there's sellers. So Mark Sebastian from Option Pit, who's doing our option strategy today, he's going out and he's straight buying calls in February. So maybe he sees something that we don't see, the overall market doesn't see. So that's what's great when you have a neutral name, and you can also use options where you can control your risk a little bit. Yes, the reward is capped, but it's a little bit safer than just going out with a straight long or a straight short on a stock that's so stuck in a neutral range.
Yeah, so it gives you a few ways to play it, and it could ignite. So he might be right. So there are two ways to look at it. Below 51, it'll start breaking down. Above that, descending channel, it could get going into the new year, especially if you see some more continuation in your Walmarts and your Home Depots, and people need a name to turn to. Why not Target? My wife still loves it.
Right. So on behalf of the Options Profits and the T3 teams, Happy New Year. Thanks for all the support in 2011. We look forward to a killer 2012.